Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, text 56 through 58, Sarartha Darshani. Those in this world who understand Lord Krishna as he is, see all things, whether stationary or moving, as manifest forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such enlightened persons recognize no reality apart from the Supreme Lord Krishna. The original unmanifested form of material nature is the source of all material things. And the source of even that subtle material nature is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. What then could one ascertain to be separate from him? For those who have accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as Murari, the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoofprint. Their goal is Param Padam, Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step.
Oh, wonderful. You want to read the next one, Acharyaji?
Okay. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. In this way, it is proved that Sri Krishna is the final object of pure spiritual love. Only by taking shelter of Krishna's lotus feet does one get liberated and finally realize him. The outstanding position of Krishna's devotee is now made clear. Devotees take shelter only of the boat of the lotus feet of Krishna, whose fame is charming, beautiful, and pleasing to the heart. Someone may ask, what is that boat like? The boat of Krishna's lotus feet gives shelter to the great devotees who have taken complete shelter. For these devotees, the ocean of the material world becomes like the water in a calf's hoofprint that can be crossed without any great effort. Their goal is the supreme transcendental abode of Vaikuntha, or Sri Vrindavan. Great devotees never fall into difficulty because their minds are not attached to anything except the lotus feet of Krishna.
Wonderful.
The next slide is the Krishna book version of that. Do you want to talk about it now or go on?
Okay. Why don't we do this? Why don't we get someone else to read that one? And Acharya, while we're doing that, you can meditate on this last sentence. Okay, that's a really good sentence. Okay, we're going to have someone else to read the next one. Or why don't you just go ahead and read it? That's fine.
Me?
You.
Okay. Krishna book. Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, 56 through 58. Whatever is attractive within the cosmic manifestation is due to Krishna. Krishna is therefore the reservoir of all pleasure. The active principle of everything is Krishna, and highly elevated transcendentalists see everything in connection with him. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that a Mahabhagavat, or highly advanced devotee, sees Krishna as the active principle in all movable and immovable living entities. Therefore, he sees everything within this cosmic manifestation in relation to Krishna. For the fortunate person who has taken shelter of Krishna as everything, liberation is already there. He is no longer in the material world. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Whoever is engaged in the devotional service of Krishna is already on the Brahmabhuta or spiritual platform. The very name Krishna suggests piety and liberation. Anyone who takes shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna enters the boat for crossing over the ocean of nescience. For him, this vast expansion of the material manifestation becomes as insignificant as a hoofprint. Krishna is the center of all great souls, and he is the shelter of the material worlds.
Okay, well, that's pretty wonderful. But I have a question here. Is there a difference? Sometimes it's written, Prabhupada writes that even Vishwanath also, one who takes shelter, then he can, he's liberated, or His future is very bright. But what's the difference between taking shelter and taking shelter of Krishna as everything? I mean, there must be something like ye yatam prapadyante here. You want to talk about that?
And maybe also Prabhupada would sometimes talk about the green mango and the ripe mango, that in the beginning, the mango is green. All its sweetness isn't there yet, but it's still a mango. It's still surrendered to Krishna, but it's not fully ripe yet. And it's not that something new is created or something new is added. It's the same mango. It just ripens. So we start off and maybe we're accepting Krishna to some degree. And then when it ripens, then it's complete. Then we accept Krishna as everything. That's one way, I guess, to look at it.
That's a very hopeful way. But being a pessimist, as I am, every soul, every jiva, even in the material world, because jivas are living in the material world, is a mango in one sense. Because we're all, whether we realize it or not, we're all servants of Krishna. But there must be some difference in degrees, you know?
Yeah, sure. Just
I think that can be applied to the fruit and the mango example. There are really hard ones, little small ones. When they first bud on the tree, there are some that haven't even shown up yet, but yet the potential is still within the tree itself to produce the mango. So living entities that are not in human forms don't have the capacity to actually engage, but they can get some aganta sukriti, or, like a tree can be standing there and devotees can sit down and start speaking about Krishna underneath that tree, or get some shade from the tree, and it gets some aganta sukriti, and therefore there's something that grows. So I thought that was an excellent answer.
No, it is the perfect answer. But I also am a pessimist, and I wonder about that other thing, because I see within my own heart, I'm not on the purest platform after all these millions of births, and even in this lifetime trying to give it everything. So what is my position?
I don't want to stretch this analogy of the mango so far that it breaks, but a mango that is not properly attached to the tree might not get full nourishment, or a mango that doesn't get the full sunlight shining down on it, it won't get the full benefit. It may take a much longer time for it to reattach to the tree and mature and get the sunlight and get the nourishment. So some mangoes can ripen, if they're in ideal conditions, can ripen quickly, and others may take long time.
I admit defeat. What about you, Chaita?
Hari Bol. Good morning, dear devotees. Acharya, I like your analogy very much. And it's good to know that there's different levels. And the level of an unripe mango could be someone who takes shelter of Krishna, but they still have an agenda. They have personal things that they want. But when a mango is ripe, at that point, it's anya bila shita shunyam. There's no more motivation. That's what I'm gleaning from what you're saying.
And I think this part of the text at the end of chapter 14 is describing that type of person. Srila Prabhupada was even given the example of the Mahabhagavat, sees everything in relationship to Krishna. That's a ripe mango.
Yeah. I actually called up that verse, if you want to hear it. That's the verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada is referencing that Stavara Jangama Deke Na Deke Taramurti Sarvatrahaya Nija Ishtadeva Sporti. The Mahabhagavat, the advanced devotee, certainly sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord.
Wow, that's something to hope for. Perfection.
Beautiful verse.
And Prabhupada also said, when he was talking about, at least one time when he was talking about the mango analogy, he said, but the mango is so wonderful that even the green mango is so excellent that you make achar out of it.
Oh,
It's delicious. So even the green mango, okay, it's not ripe yet, but even that has so much value and so much taste in it. But I
very
also like what you
optimistic.
said, Mataji, about that all jivas are mangoes in a sense. We're all, that's all of us, but some of us are like really, really green, or maybe still buds that
Yeah.
haven't even fructified yet. But I like that way of thinking about it too.
Wonderful.
Could I
Since
say
we,
one more thing about this segment?
Sure.
That
Yeah.
that taking that idea that everything is Krishna and Krishna's energy, there's nothing but Krishna. Impersonalists or people with limited knowledge will take that idea and say, okay, that's it, that's everything. But Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Prabhupada in his Krishna book take that idea and they conclude that because of that, therefore you have to take shelter of Krishna as the object of
And surrender to him.
and
And
surrender.
surrender.
Yeah.
Tati, did you want to say something?
I just want to, all these points also, they do link back to the Chaturshloki, so I just wanted to read those quickly. There they
Yeah,
are.
right.
Text 34, this is from second canto. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relationship to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Please know that the universal elements enter into the please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created, and at the same time, I am outside of everything. A person who is searching after the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this in all circumstances, in all space and time, both directly and indirectly. Actually, the other verse is the one before that. It's hard to manipulate my screen with so much on it. There it is. The first one is actually Brahma. It is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. So in this way, he's explaining that everything is him. Similar,
now,
which is just what we were talking about.
So I just want to say one more thing about this. There is free will. That's our independence, and that's our individuality. So it's interesting. This keeps coming up in my life in different areas. If we make a mistake and we say, well, that's Krishna's arrangement, Prabhupada actually said, don't blame Krishna for your mistakes. So it's not, you have to, we have that bit of free will so that if we see something is amiss, well, we can't just say, well, that's Krishna's arrangement, or we can, and it is, but that's not, that's impersonal. It's actually impersonal. It's a very fine line. What do you think, Acharya?
Yeah, I agree. But because since Dhruva Raj Prabhu, since you brought up the Chatushloki, it reminded me how actually a lot of Brahma's prayers here is really just giving back to Krishna
Right.
what he got from those Chatushloki. But when he first heard it, he got some realization and he was able to, create the universe. But now his realization of those same instructions he got long before is like so much more amazing and intense and full of love. And
Well, that's nice. The mango got ripe. More
yeah,
ripe.
Brahma ripened, exactly.
We are stretching it. There's no way about it.
Yeah.
We are
And
stretching
we
it.
may even have experienced that. We read something in Prabhupada's books and that, oh, that's nice, or get something. And then, a day, a week, a decade down the line, something happens to us and we go back to that verse and it's like, oh my God, it means, it's so much more now.
Excellent. That's supposed to happen. Very good. Okay. Shall we continue? Manvantar, would you like to read?
May I just ask,
Sure.
Acharya Prabhu, the verse from the Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that he was quoting from? If he, or maybe he can put it in the chat or something. I just wasn't sure.
Looks like he's looking for it.
Madhya,
Okay.
Madhya 8:274.
It's Madhya?
Madhya Lila, chapter 8, text 274.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. And okay, thank you. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 14, text 59 through 61, and 59 through 61 text for Sarata Darshini. Since you inquired from me, I have fully described to you those activities of Lord Hari that were performed in his 5th year, but not celebrated until his 6th. Any person who hears or chants these pastimes, Lord Murari performed with his cowherd friends, the killing of Agusura, the taking of lunch on the forest grass, the Lord's manifestation of transcendental forms, and the wonderful prayers offered by Lord Brahma, is sure to achieve all his spiritual desires. Visvanatha Chakrabarti Thakur's commentary. King Parikshit had asked a question, O great sage, how could things done in the past have been described as being done in the present? That was taken from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter 12, text 41. Krishna performed the pastime of killing Agosura during his Kumara age. How then, during his Poguna age, beginning from the 6th year, could the boys have described this incident as having happened recently? In these chapters, that question has been answered.
Go on, read the next one.
Krishna book, same text. In this way, Krishna consciousness was fully explained by Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit. Sukadeva Goswami even recited to the king the statements and prayers of Lord Brahma. These descriptions of Lord Krishna's pastimes with his cowherd boys, his eating with them on the bank of the Yamuna, and Lord Brahma's prayers unto him are all transcendental subject matters. Anyone who hears, recites, or chants them surely gets all his spiritual desires fulfilled. Thus, Krishna's childhood appearance, his sporting with Balaram and Vrindavan, was described. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 14th chapter of Krishna, prayers offered by Lord Brahma to Lord Krishna.
Wonderful. What do you think about getting all your spiritual desires fulfilled?
Yes.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
You're not. Go on.
Is the surrender for the last subject that we were talking about? When one turns and surrenders to Krishna, it sounds like he's guaranteeing, and maybe that's a strong word, that you go to him at some level, because he can do that, because he's not only is he God, but he's basically saying, it, like in the Bhagavad Gita and everything, that you're my friend. You know, if you do this, you'll be fine. You know, so it sounds like you only have to surrender and think about him, hear and chant, and it's almost like a guarantee.
Sounds like it to me.
Yeah. Okay.
It sounds simple, but somehow or another, that's surrender. You know, Krishna knows how to trick you. You know, you really surrendered? Okay, how about this? How about this? How about this? And eventually, chanting intensely and reading these scriptures, it becomes real. It becomes real. And you actually develop faith, isn't it? You know, it's not so easy, but it's worth the struggle.
There's a verse for you. Sama, you can read this one.
Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. Always think of me, become my devotee. So is everyone always thinking of Krishna becoming his devotee? Okay, so we got to do that. It's a full thing. Krishna's like, of course, yeyatam prapadyate is there. It's a gradual process, but you give everything. Krishna will totally give everything to you and reciprocate that way. And we're all going for it. Why not?
It's
Best
wonderful
thing.
also to understand Sukadev Goswami, who is accepted by everyone as an enlightened being, is explaining that anyone who hears and chants this pastime and these pastimes will have his spiritual desires fulfilled. So that is the process that's recommended. We're actually it's not some austerity. It's not go to the Himalayas. It's not doing a different kind of yoga and all kinds of fasting and different things that people engage in to try and advance. What's the most efficacious, what's the most effective method? What process works better than all of the other ones? What's the topmost process? Anybody know a verse?
Starts with Harinama.
That's one. Good. Go ahead.
Harinama, 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 Eva Kevalam, Kolo Nasteva, 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 Gatir, Anyata.
Yeah,
There is no other way. Chant the holy name. But then there's Shravanam Kirtanam.
that's what I was thinking of. Shrinvatam Svakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hyadantasto Hyabhadrani Vidunoti Suhitsatam.
Okay, Chaita, do you want to say something?
Man-
Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam nanaskuru.
That was what we just.
No, we did a different one. What's the translation, Chata?
Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee, offer your obeisances unto me, and surely being fully absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So the gist of this is being really exclusive.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
it's wonderful. It's right. And who was the example of exclusive Krishna? Who's the example? What's the example? Always given.
Who's that?
Haridas Thakur.
Oh, yeah, okay, Haridas Thakur. But, yeah, she's absorbed in Lord Brahma. That's why. Haridas Thakur. The gopis,
Okay.
they are the exclusive. They give everything to Krishna. Everything. So we want that. Unless you can find someone else who's worthy giving everything to.
Before we go on, we've now finished, it took us the whole month and a half to finish Lord Brahma's prayers. Any questions or comments regarding those? Because that's when we started in October, you made me remember. It's kind of interesting too, the way this whole thing naturally evolved, is that Krishna killed Aghasura. We read that back in June. And it was described that it took a year before it was discussed amongst everybody in Vrindavan and all the different people, village people. So Maharaj Pariksit asked, why? That's what we just read. Why did it take a year? So similarly for us, we had that big break in between the killing of Aghasura, Brahma's prayers, a year later. So now we've completed those. Just wanted to make sure if there are any questions, we can address them. Otherwise, we'll go on now to chapter 15.
Okay. Looks like everyone is okay with that. Okay, Faye, why don't you take over?
Thank you.
Start with-
Mataji. Chapter 15, Killing of Danakasura. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:15, 1 through 2. Text 1 through 2. Saratha Darsini. Sorry, excuse me. Sukadev Goswami said, when Lord Rama and Lord Krishna attained the age of Paguna, 6 to 10, while living in Vrindavan, the cowherd men allowed them to take up the task of tending the cows. Engaging thus in the company of their friends, the two boys rendered the land of Vrindavan most auspicious by imprinting upon it the marks of their lotus feet. Thus desiring to enjoy pastimes, Lord Madhava, sounding his flute, surrounded by the cowherd boys who were chanting his glories, and accompanied by Lord Baladev, kept the cows before him and entered the Vrindavan forest, which was full of flowers and rich with nourishment for the animals. Vishvanatha I can never get
Chakravarti. Chakravarti. It's you can see how Chakravarti.
Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. At the end of their 5th year, Krishna and Balaram were permitted to herd the cows. The first day of herding the cows is described in the Kartika Mahatmya section of the Padma Purana. The 8th lunar day of the bright fortnight of the month of Kartik is known by the authorities as Gopastami. From that day, Sri Krishna served as a cowherd, whereas previously he had tended the calves.
Very good. Say this, Gopastami.
Gopastami. Thank you.
Gopastami.
We just celebrated that last Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
We have some friends, Harikarta and Ruchira. They keep cows and had a big Gopastami festival. Sami, you want to have Neil read the next one?
Yeah, okay. Neil, would you like to read the next one?
Indeed. Good morning, all. Hello.
Hare Krishna.
In this way, Sri Krishna, along with his elder brother Balarama, passed the childhood age known as
Komara.
Kamara, and stepped into the age of
Pagunda.
Buddha, from the 6th year to the 10th. At that time, all the cowherd men conferred and agreed to give those boys who had passed their 5th year charge of the cows in the pasturing ground. Giving charge of the cows, Krishna and Balarama traversed Vrindavan, purifying the land with their footprints.
Well, how would you like to tend cows at 5 years old?
I think that would be quite a responsibility and a half, but that seems to be something that was it was done at a certain age when they were able to do certain things. It was time for them to move on.
Still, little boy, like 3 foot tall,
Yeah.
taking care of enormous 2-ton cows.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
and fearlessly.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you folks have to say about these two
Acharya
verses?
raised his, oh, okay.
Oh, Acharyaji. Well, wait, let me
that's
just
okay.
ask them about what they think about this. Faye, what do you think about what you've read?
We were talking about that yesterday and this morning, the beauty of the pastoral pastimes themselves, the wholesome environment of kids in Vrindavan is so different. So very different. And another thing that we were enjoying too was trying to wrap my head around Lord Krishna not only suspending time, but advancing time, and the year passing and seemingly not passing at all. And the whole pastime fits together so nicely in 14 shifting to 15. It's chapter 14 to 15.
Yeah.
As we're seeing their relative ages change. And don't forget, we missed the Lord Balaram's birthday when he was called away for his birthday celebration. He wasn't around when Lord Brahma stole those cows and the cowherd boys. So if you keep looking at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is trying to teach Neil a little bit about Kartik and Diwali and how all of these wonderful things are happening at this most auspicious season, and how we're doing these things now.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Very
nice.
good. Very wonderful. Wonderful. Do you understand all of that, Neil?
I don't.
I have a lot of questions.
Okay, we'll keep asking them.
That's it. I just keep asking them. I just keep thinking about it, keep turning it over.
And are you chanting at all, Neil?
I am chanting, and it's so interesting how I'll start and I'm like, oh, I can do this, no problem at all. And then, just a moment later or 5 minutes later, I'm off and my mind is totally wandered to something else.
Oh, yeah.
And that's so hard to go, wait, let me come back to what I was doing.
Good.
This is
Yeah,
amazing.
and the mind is hard to control. But when we keep hearing the pastimes of Krishna, at least we throw Krishna into our minds, and you hear the holy name, which is non different than Krishna. This is all the process to achieve the goal of human life. Good, and you have a very good teacher. She knows all this stuff. Are you chanting nicely, Faye?
I'm practicing chanting more in my mind. I'm getting ready for the surgery when I won't be able to talk.
Oh, that's
So
interesting.
the
Okay.
blessing I was looking for this month was asking to be able to do that.
Okay. Well, good. Just keep the holy name absorbed in your mind and your heart, and whenever possible in your mouth, so that other things won't come out of it, right?
Right. If I can chant when I'm afraid or nightmares or anesthesia or can't talk, if I can chant in here.
Yes, you can. That's true. You can. Good
Great.
girl. Don't
Great.
worry. Krishna's got you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. We're all going to pray for Faye. We are.
Acharya's
Acharya?
hands, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was tasting his patience since he's talking about the development of mangoes. Go on, Acharya.
Yeah, I guess it's almost more a sociological point, but it is amazing. This idea of Krishna is and the cowherd boys are only 5 years old and they're doing this. But actually, if you look at a lot of traditional societies in the world, or if you're willing to go back, 500 years, 1,000 years, children 5 years old had to do a lot of work and had a lot of actually practical responsibility. That seems crazy to us now because childhood has become such a sort of precious and protected and even isolated thing. But in traditional cultures, 5-year-old kids had to do a lot. In fact, sometimes a lot of times, even usually, it actually ended up in exploitation. And then we had to have things like, child labor laws and things like that. But 5-year-olds can do probably a lot more than we think they can.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Very
Good point,
good.
especially even before the times when maybe exploitation was part of it. Agricultural and animal maintenance, they learned it very, and the cows and the calves have been trained by bigger people with sticks. And so therefore, when little people have sticks, they still are submissive.
Yeah,
They'll go and
absolutely.
act
Like,
they've been domesticated.
yeah, especially in agricultural societies, like you said.
Yeah, nice.
even
And
more there.
foraging in the forest and things like that.
Yeah.
Good point. Thank you.
I'm a city girl, so I don't tend to see that. Okay, very nice. So, Chita, why don't you read, sweetie?
Jai Gurudev. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:15, 3 and 4. From Sarata Darshini. The Supreme Personality of Godhead looked over that forest, which resounded with the charming sounds of bees, animals, and birds, and which was enhanced by a lake whose clear water resembled the minds of great souls, and by a breeze carrying the fragrance of 100-petaled lotuses. Seeing all this, Lord Krishna decided to enjoy the auspicious atmosphere. The primeval Lord saw that the stately trees with their beautiful reddish buds and their heavy burden of fruits and flowers were bending down to touch his feet with the tips of their branches. Wow. Thus he smiled gently and addressed his elder brother. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. This is explained in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. When the sweetness of Vrindavan and its inhabitants became prominent in Krishna's mind, he began glorifying them by making Balaram the object of praise. However, Krishna was actually praising himself because the verses do not depict Balaram's glories. Out of Sakya Bhav, Krishna speaks his own glories in a joking way in the name of Balaram. Though Krishna is the younger brother of Balaram, in this verse, Krishna is addressed as Adi Purusha to denote his position as the Svayam Bhagavan, the original personality of Godhead.
Okay, go on to the next verse because it's the Krishna book.
Okay.
It's the same verse.
Hare Krishna. Text 3 and 4. Accompanied by the cowherd boys and Balaram, Krishna brought forward the cows and played on his flute through the forest of Vrindavan, which was full of flowers, vegetables, and pasture grass. The Vrindavan forest was as sanctified as the clear mind of a devotee and was full of bees, flowers, and fruits. There were chirping birds and clear water lakes with waters that could relieve one of all fatigues. Sweet flavored breezes blew always, refreshing the mind and body. Krishna, with his friends and Balaram, entered the forest and, seeing the favorable situation, enjoyed the atmosphere to the fullest extent. Krishna saw all the trees overloaded with fruits and fresh twigs coming down to touch the ground as if welcoming him by touching his lotus feet. He was very pleased by the behavior of the trees, fruits, and flowers, and he began to smile, realizing their desires.
Oh boy. Okay, Patsy, could you bring it back to the verse? So there's two things that that I wanted to ask here. The minds of great souls.
Oh, I love that.
And the mind of a devotee. Clear. So here we go back to, as they surrender unto me, I reward them. The minds of great souls are clear, So that's something to strive for, to keep our mind completely clear, not occupied with anything other than Krishna. See, that is one point that I would like to discuss, and you keep that in mind, in your clear mind. And the other thing about the trees, which helps one to get a clear mind, offering everything to Krishna. That's what Krishna saw, that the trees and the flowers and all of the growing, all the growth, offering everything to him. And how do those two have to do with each other? The minds of great souls, clear mind of great souls, and the mind of a devotee, and offering everything.
Wow. So I'm thinking of that verse in the Bhagavad Gita that says that those whose minds are irresolute are many branched. Good. So we tend to scatter ourselves. What's the word? Dissipation. Dispersion, that's the word, dispersion. We go all over the place thinking I'm going to find happiness here. No, I got to buy more of that. I have to keep accumulating stuff and people and travels and so on. And everybody's actually looking for Krishna, as George Harrison would say at the beginning of this Krishna book. So until and unless we get to that point, our minds are going to be all over the place.
And that point would be offering everything to Krishna.
Because then when you realize that Krishna is everything, then you invest everything in him and stop throwing your resources away on other things.
Yeah.
It's such a long journey to get there because
Oh,
the
wow.
illusory energy is so.
She's good. She knows how to get each one of us. I like to see the minds of great souls. Clear mind of great souls. That's what we want to. We want to be great souls. We want clear minds. Mama Tara?
I was when I was reading it, I was thinking if it had anything to do with the fact that Lord Brahma was so humble, and then now here's an example of what to do with praise. I don't know. I was thinking
with what? With
like
praise?
what to do with praise.
Mm.
Like it seems like a direct opposite. Like Lord Brahma was like so humble, like he was devastated by his error. And then now here is an example I was thinking I was reading of what to do with praise. This is what it sounds like, but I don't know. Like
that's one of the things that keeps us from having a clear mind. This desire for fame and praise and adoration. And Lord Brahma, the ultimate cure for his and reward for his humility was that he took birth as Haridas Thakur, the greatest devotee. You know, so this is it. Krishna does reciprocate, but unless you're going to give everything to him, he'll reciprocate that way. If we want this top of the line Krishna consciousness, then we have to be willing to give up our false ego. And it's hard because why is it hard? Why is it hard to give up our false ego? Who can say? No one wants to say. Okay, I'll say. For me, it's because we're identifying with the body. We think that's who we are. So it's hard to give ourselves up. That's me, Misconception. It's only a misconception. All right. That's a wonderful thing about the Bhagavatam. We touch every single aspect of life and thought. We are so blessed to have this. Okay, so does anyone else? It looks like we should go on now. Does anyone else? Oh, Patti, are you putting something here that we should be knowing?
Yeah, the next verse.
Oh, okay. Okay, so wait a minute. Acharya. Acharya ji, would you read this? Thank you.
Did everyone else already read once? Because I don't want to.
I think so. Yeah, we went through
Okay.
everyone. It's not so many here today.
Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10. It says 1. This is chapter 14. I mean 15, text 5 and 6.
Okay.
The Supreme Personality.
There it goes.
Okay. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "O greatest of lords, just see how these trees are bowing their heads at your lotus feet, which are worshipable by the immortal demigods. The trees are offering you their fruits and flowers to eradicate the dark ignorance that has caused their birth as trees. O original personality, these bees must all be great sages and most elevated devotees of yours, for they are worshiping you by following you along the path and chanting your glories, which are themselves a holy place for the entire world. Though you have disguised yourself within this forest, O sinless one, they refuse to abandon you, their worshipable Lord." Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, quote, "The trees holding gifts of fruits and flowers on their heads are bowing down to your lotus feet with devotion. Why? They bow to purify themselves of their offenses, which cause them to take birth as trees. They are thinking, because we have committed such great offenses, we have become trees and cannot accompany the Lord in his wanderings throughout Vrindavan," unquote. In this way, Krishna interprets the trees' movements stemming from their attraction to Krishna. However, since Brahma prayed to be born as a tree in Vraja, the trees could not have been born there as a result of offenses.
This is a Manvachar. This is pay attention to this discussion, because that was in relation to thinking that about pride, and because now Brahma wants this humble position of taking birth as a blade of grass or a tree in Vrindavan. So what do you think of this, Acharya-ji? Wait a minute. Do we go to let's go to the next one. Wait a minute. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, because it's the same topic. This
Yeah.
is interesting, though, how he's almost contradicting Krishna's point, right? Krishna is saying that
Yeah.
they're thinking because we have committed offenses, we become trees and can't accompany. But then he's saying here that it couldn't have been due to offense, and of course we know that it's not due to offense. Some living entities have eternal forms of kalpavriksha trees in Goloka Vrindavan, Chintamani Pakara Sadmasha Kalpavriksha.
Oh, who's the kalpavriksha? Who's the famous kalpavriksha tree without whom we wouldn't even know anything about any of this? Does anyone know?
The Srimad Bhagavatam?
Nobody knows.
No.
Madhav Mandrapuri was a kalpavriksha tree.
Oh.
He's a kalpavriksha tree in Vrindavan. He's watching everything, and he's the Acharya. He's the Acharya. Acharya. Okay. Go on reading, Prabhu.
Krishna book, text 5 through 6. Krishna then spoke to his elder brother Balaram as follows, quote, "My dear brother, you are superior to all of us, and your lotus feet are worshipped by the demigods. Just see how these trees full with fruits have bent down to worship your lotus feet. It appears that they are trying to get out of the darkness of being obliged to accept the form of trees. Actually, the trees born in the land of Vrindavan are not ordinary living entities. Having held the impersonal point of view in their past lives, they are now put into this stationary condition of life. But now they have the opportunity of seeing you in Vrindavan, and they are praying for further advancement in spiritual life through your personal association. Generally, the trees are living entities in the modes of darkness. The impersonalist philosophers are in that darkness, but they eradicate it by taking full advantage of your presence. I think the drones that are buzzing all around you must have been your devotees in their past lives. They cannot leave your company because no one can be a better, more affectionate master than you. You are the supreme and original personality of Godhead, and the drones are just trying to spread your glories by chanting every moment. I think some of them must be great sages, devotees of your lordship, and they are disguising themselves in the form of drones because they are unable to give up your company even for a moment."
Wow. So that seems to be, what do you think about what this says about the trees, especially the ones in Vrindavan?
Well, both Prabhupada and Vishwanath Chakravarti are giving us, multiple viewpoints about how to understand them or how to think about them. They're Brijavasis, they're servants of Krishna, or you could take it that they're in ignorance and now they're freeing themselves by offering to Krishna. So I like that he's giving us different ways to look at it, and even giving this is by presenting them like that they're fallen and they spent. Could you go back to the Sarartha Darshini page for a moment, please? That they are thinking, quote, "Because we have committed such great offenses, we have become trees and cannot accompany the Lord in his wanderings throughout Vrindavan." That's a prayer for us, or that's how I take it. That's a prayer, whatever the condition of the trees in Vrindavan is, I don't know. But that's a prayer that I can make because that's my position. I've taken birth in this material world. I can't accompany Krishna. So that's a prayer that I can use. So I really like that about it. And I also think it's so awesome and so sweet and loving that Krishna is saying, although he ultimately is about himself, but he's praising Lord Balaram, his brother, like this. Makes it just, aside from the philosophy, it just makes it such a beautiful and sort of touching moment.
Yeah, and
really
it's referred to as Sakya Bhav, the Sakya Bhav.
Right. Right. But Balaram also has an element of respect because he's a little older. So
Right.
Krishna is also offering some respect, some glorification. So I find that it's very sweet, giving a little view of their relationship is nice. And also Balaram was also just about coming up on killing his first demon. So that's also coming also.
Yeah. Let's
So
go kill
it's,
some demons.
yeah, so the whole thing is really beautiful and also really practical and instructive, with actual prayers that we can. I think Rupa Goswami says that you can pray from your heart and express your heart, and you could also pray by expressing the great prayers from the Shastra.
Sure.
So
Very
these
good.
are these prayers that Krishna or that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is attributing to the trees are so perfect for us also.
Yeah. Actually, we learn how to pray by reading the scriptures and by hearing the prayers of great devotees. And our
Yes.
prayers, that's how we learn how to pray, by hearing from the self-realized souls. Good.
I've always found this beginning of chapter 15 a wonderful meditation also because it's such a wonderful description of the environment and the atmosphere of Vrindavan. It's all, and when I was making these slides, I had to categorize each one of them to put it into a particular slide rather than just a whole page. So it's like here we have trees and bees, and then we'll go on to the next ones. And if you're in your meditation, you can actually narrow it down and see it and smell the flowers and see the trees, and it helps us. It's also an interesting point that we didn't really discuss, but it's important that the different ages there's Bala, then we read, what was it, Kumara, then Pagunda, and then Kaishura ages. And it also connects to Krishna's character and his activities. As he grows a little older, he acts a little differently, which is natural and wonderful to meditate on him in these different features of his various ages. And of course, the environment he's in. They all are called udipan, contributors to the flavor of the rasa.
Yeah.
Tatamayi?
This whole scene is so revealing of Krishna's ultimate enjoyment. If like Krishna, we're all made in that mood of Ananda Mayo Vyasat, which is we're all pleasure seeking. So here's the most sensually pleasing environment you can imagine, and Krishna's right in the middle of it with Balaram. And what is he doing? He's immediately pulling Balaram into it and saying, we're in this together. We're in this together. This is Krishna's mood towards us. He wants us to be interacting with him and enjoying with him together. It's never selfishness.
Good.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Haribol.
He loves relationships. We all want relationships. And Krishna's just relating. Even little children, they talk to the ants on the ground. Actually, I talk to them too. Get out of here. But, it's a natural inclination to have relationships and to have loving relationships, We're pleasure seeking. What's the greatest pleasure? Love, loving relationships. Thank you. Okay. Mamatara, why don't you read? And I see Madhurya Leela has joined us, so she can read next if she wants.
Okay, so 7 through 8. O worshipable one, these peacocks are dancing before you out of joy. These doe are pleasing you with affectionate glances, just as the gopis do. And these cuckoos are honoring you with Vedic prayers. All these residents of the forest are most fortunate, and their behavior toward you certainly befits great souls receiving another great soul at home. This earth has now become most fortunate because you have touched her grass and bushes with your feet, and her trees and creepers with your fingernails. And because you have graced her rivers, mountains, birds, and animals with your merciful glances. But above all, you have embraced the young cowherd women between your two arms, a favor hankered after by the goddess of fortune herself. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. The phrase, today the earth has become fortunate, means in material time there is a succession of avatars such as Varaha, but nothing can equal the blessings of Krishna and his plenary expansion, Balaram. The earth has now become most fortunate because you have touched her grass with your feet and plucked her flowers with your fingernails. The rivers and mountains have become fortunate by your merciful glances, or by your glances which bring about auspiciousness. The dark creepers which beautifies are fortunate because they are touching your chest.
Okay, go
The
to the
dark
next
creepers
one.
which beauty itself beautifies. Okay. And in the Krishna book, just see how the peacocks in great ecstasy are dancing before you. The deer, whose behavior is just like the gopis, are welcoming you with the same affection. And the cuckoos, who are residing in this forest, are receiving you with great joy because they consider that your appearance is so auspicious in their home. Even though there are trees and animals, these residents of Vrindavan are glorifying you. They are prepared to welcome you to their best capacity, as is the practice of great souls in receiving another great soul at home. As for the land, it is so pious and fortunate that the footprints of your lotus feet are marking its body. It is quite natural for these Vrindavan inhabitants to thus receive a great personality like you. The herbs, creepers, and plants are also so fortunate to touch your lotus feet, and by your touching the twigs with your hands, these small plants are also made glorious. As for the hills and the rivers, they too are now glorious because you are glancing at them. Above all, the dasmals of Raj, the gopis, attracted by your beauty, are the most glorious because you embrace them with your strong arms.
Wow. So Krishna is speaking. This is what Krishna is speaking. He's talking about the fortunate living entities in Vrindavan. Mamachara, say something about that. The fortunate living entities in Vrindavan.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. Speechless is you know there we read earlier where it says they're actually living in their spiritual self. So I mean everything they do is in complete alignment with the pleasure of Krishna. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, if you think about it,
Last time where
if you
even
think of, go
Vishnu
on.
came to see him to see them and they were so respectful to Lord Vishnu. I mean, I don't know that there's everything they do is so is is acted on a spiritual level.
Good. Very good. You know, the plants in Vrindavan are consciously worshiping Krishna and Balaram by giving what they have naturally. I mean, a plant can't really act in a negative way, right? What can a rose do that it doesn't incur karma? You know, he acts according to his body. You know, that's what we want. We want to act according to our spiritual body. This is a really good section here. So what, anyone else have something to say about the fortune of the living entities, how Krishna himself is speaking about the great good fortune the living entities are in Vrindavan have by naturally serving Krishna and Balaram. Who can say? Kachi, you want to add to that?
Actually, I'm remembering. I was just trying to look it up. In the descriptions in the first canto, you may remember after the Pandavas retired timely and Maharaj Parikshit took over as the emperor of the world, then Kali Yuga began to exhibit its influence. And there's a verse in there, a circumstance where the Earth planet describes how she was so fortunate that the Lord was present, personally walking on her body. And she even points out that other devotees often felt separation from Krishna because he would travel here and there, but she didn't, because wherever he went, he was on her surface. And it was so beautiful that she was so lamenting that now he's actually disappeared. And I'm experiencing what those devotees felt. So it's here Krishna is actually realizing in his own way. It's interesting that Vishnu Chakrabarti Thakur brought up the pastime of Varaha, because we'll remember that Lord Varaha is a avatar who actually saved Mother Earth from great disturbance. And then when he was with her, produced a child who was Narakasura. So that's my appreciation of one appreciation of this particular section, where he's so much involved with the Earth planet. And of course, he's actually advented because she took the form of a cow, went to Lord Brahma, voiced her grievance at that particular time. All the demigods and Lord Brahma went to the milk ocean, and then he agreed to descend to benedict her. So there's a great love affair between the Lord and Mother Earth, Bhumi.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Even their kid turned out bad. You figure these things out. All right, free will. There it is again. Madhurya Leela, would you like to read the concluding verses here in this chapter?
Sure.
Wait.
One question, did we finish the Krishna book part of that?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
Did you read both? Wait, go back to see. I thought I had it.
Yeah,
Did you
she
read
did.
both? Mama Tara, you read both, right? Yeah, she did.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Madhurya ji, nice to see you again.
Nice to. I'm sorry I'm late.
I mean, hear you.
Okay.
I'm gonna put it back. He's working on it. What's going on?
Can you not read it? Oh,
No.
It's
I'm
not,
sorry.
there's nothing there.
Okay, sorry, I didn't press the final button.
Okay.
I'm looking at it.
Srimad Bhagavatam 10:15-9 and text 9 in the Sarashta Darshini. Sukadeva Goswami said, thus expressing his satisfaction with the beautiful forest of Vrindavan and its inhabitants, Lord Krishna enjoyed tending the cows and other animals with his friends on the banks of the river Yamuna below Govardhan Hill. Commentary. Though Krishna and Balaram were inseparable during their Prabenda age, 5 to 10, with the appearance of the Kaishara age, 11 to 15, Krishna began his amorous pastimes alone with the gopis. This is indicated in this verse by the word evam. After praising Balaram and sending him off to herd the cows in the forest of Vrindavan, Krishna, to whom Radha shows her love, came to Manasaganga and began to enjoy with the Sakhis. The word Srimat refers to the chief woman of Braj, Srimati Radhika. Because this meaning is confidential, there is another meaning which covers this jewel-like a golden case. Srimat can refer to Baladev. Out of affection for Balaram, Krishna began sporting with his friends on the bank of Manasaganga.
So this can mean both. Go on.
Krishna book, text 9, 11:15-9. This way, both Lord Krishna and Balaram began to enjoy the residence of Vrindavan to their full satisfaction, along with the calves and cows on the bank of the Jamuna. In some places, both Krishna and Balaram were accompanied by their friends. The boys were singing, imitating the humming sound of the drones that accompanying Krishna and Balaram, who were garlanded with forest flowers. While walking, the boys sometimes imitated the quacking sound of the swans in the lakes, or when they saw the peacocks dancing, they imitated them before Krishna. Krishna also moved his neck, imitating the dancing and making his friends laugh.
Okay. So it's interesting that word Srimat, meaning Balaram or Radhika. So what do you have to say about that, Madhurya ji?
I was wondering about that when I heard it. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, because Radharani's name is not spoken, and she's in the like a coveted position. So covered position, coveted, whatever you call it. So Balaram, I guess it's going on the pretext of saying that he's meeting up with Balaram, when in fact he's meeting with Radharani.
Could be. It's a little vague. Either way is, the meaning is there for either way. Patti, can you explain that?
It sounds almost like Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur entered into a little bit of a mood there and shared it with everyone, how the Sanskrit can mean this or it can mean that, because he prefaced it by explaining. I mean, we just read that they just turned 6, but in his commentary, he said, well, between the ages of 5 and 10, he didn't really exhibit his Madhurya rasa, although we know he did when he was 8, he did the rasa dance. But he kind of jumped ahead into the eternal pastimes when he's in that Kishore age and is seeing the words through those with that flavor, noticing Srimat and Evam, meaning Srimati Radharani and conjugal affairs at Manisiganga later on.
This could be confusing because the Goswamis put their own, sometimes we read these books and their own bhav just comes out all over the place.
Well, that's why it's nice to read Krishna book along with it. Prabhupada really doesn't mention anything about that in his. He's simply staying chaste to the pastime at hand, where they're entering into the forests of Vrindavan now that they're 6 and they actually have the cows. It's a different meditation than the young boys who are 5 and had calves, not cows.
Well, that reminds me also of the way Prabhupada during the birth of Krishna doesn't really mention about that there were 2 Krishnas, so.
Yes, we've often talked about that also.
That's caused, I don't know, for the ISKCON devotees, at least it's what I understand, it's caused some confusion, right?
Sure.
Definitely, it causes confusion. The best thing to do is keep chanting, keep reading, and Krishna will reveal eventually what.
Well, you can actually see it from both points of view.
Yeah,
you can understand. So that's how we're doing. But everybody's now on the edge of their seats, waiting to see what will happen as the boys enter the forest.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is very good to be at the edge of our seats for. At every minute of the day, really. We have to be fanatics for Krishna. We really do. There's just no 2 ways about it. And we're sure to get his mercy. Okay. Anyone else have something to say about the readings that we have just completed? Well, thank you. Thank you all
very much for your association.
So,
all glories. Hope you had a wonderful Kartik.
Yeah.
Vanchakalpatubhyascha, Kripasinubhyacha, Pachitanam Pavanebhyo,
Vaishnavebhyo. Jai Shri Krishna.
Thank you, Sama and Dhruva.
Thank you.